Tell Spurs fans watching that they will be making a signing today.
I love this day.
Disappointing news this for Arsenal on the Falcao front.
Manchester United have now agreed a loan deal for Falcao.
There was Harry. We missed him.
Tottenham fans are getting in touch. It's Danny Welbeck, Danny Welbeck, Danny Welbeck. What can you tell them?
Abel Hernandez, the 24-year-old Uruguayan, used to play at Palermo. He is now a Hull City player.
Danny Welbeck is the man that Spurs are interested in.
Let's just show you how our colleague...
Yes, well, it's been a very busy deadline day, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. First of all, we'll talk about the results from the weekend. So I'm your host, as always, SM, and with me this week I have Cruyff along, back after a little absence.
Good evening.
And also after a bit of an extended absence, we have WorldCup2022OZ.
Good evening. Well,
wherever you're listening to it. We'll start with the results from last weekend before we talk about the big deadline day moves, and we might start talking about United's draw against Burnley, especially as we don't have Cooksen along to stick up for United just for once. Yet again, a disappointing result, boys. How did we see this one? Maybe in terms of the result, I suppose, as a context for a United season.
Comical.
Comical?
Yes.
In one word, comical.
Expected, I guess, if you look at their other results.
In a really weird way, it really was expected.
Unsurprising.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. Like there's been no real strategy to how they've built their team. From what I think, they just put a bunch of players together.
Oh, exactly. I mean, Di Maria came in and he didn't seem to be too impressive. I don't think he did too much. And it was just more of the same from United.
Yeah.
And in some ways, Burnley were almost unlucky not to come away with a result. I think they hit the post a couple of times from memory.
Did United line up 3-5-2 again?
So I think they probably did.
It's not going to work. It's got to go. It absolutely has to go, in my opinion.
Well, with the signings that they've made now, you'd expect. I don't even know what you'd expect, but probably more of a 4-3-3 or something a bit different. But it's hard to predict, I suppose, how they're going to line up now.
Well, they've got Luke Shaw coming back, so that'll be a big plus for them. He's a quality left back.
Yeah, I think he'll straighten them up a bit. I think defence is definitely where they're struggling at the moment, and if they can get Rojo and Shaw on the park, it at least gives them some sort of quality in defence.
And
the mighty Phil Jones and Chris Smalling battling out for the other centre-back spot.
The beautiful partnership. They put Terry and Cahill to shame.
Don't forget the young man Blackett.
Blackett, to be honest, Blackett's probably one of the few who's actually done all right.
He's looked okay.
He's almost like the Januzaj of last year, where, the young player who gets thrown in by the new manager, and he's actually looked decent.
Yeah, he's looked decent, and they've got Johnny Evans off the park is the most important thing for them, I think.
Yeah, well, exactly. Do we see more of the same continuing for them next week or in 2 weeks' time against, I think it's QPR they've got? Do we see any chance that this could actually buck the trend and actually get a result, or more of the same for United?
They could end up thrashing QPR if with Falcao coming in
and with Rio Ferdinand at the back for QPR, he's going to be a handful. Falcao will be a handful for him, no doubt.
He'll do it.
Rio's leaves are gone.
Do you reckon Ferdinand will just knock in a few own goals to help United off the, get off to a decent... yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to maybe a bigger club. Their rivals across the park in Man City, who surprisingly went down to Stoke, so it wasn't a good weekend for the Manchester clubs. I believe you saw this game, World Cup 2022.
Yeah, I watched that game after nearly fell asleep in the Burnley Man United game. All credit to Mark Hughes. He they played really well, Stoke. I think they deserved it.
Horrible goalkeeping from Hart, though. He's got to be doing better. I mean, good run, but has to be doing better to finish.
He's got to save them.
The crazy thing was last weekend, Diouf looked like a, League One footballer against us. He was absolutely terrible. And then next thing I know, he's run the length of the pitch basically and scored against Man City. So well done to him.
Yeah, it was. He should have had a penalty in the first half as well.
Yeah, well, as you guys saying though, it was a pretty poor effort by Hart, I think, in keeping for that goal.
Yeah, and who got skinned for that? Who got nutmegged? Was it Fernandinho?
I think it was a company. I thought it might have been.
I'm pretty sure it was Fernandinho. It was poor defending because when you're facing up to a striker, you've always got to be side on, and he was just standing straight up to him. But that's when you get beaten by strikers because it's easy for them to run around you.
Yeah, I was saying to Cruyff the other day, Stoke actually look alright the last season or two, the way that they've started playing football under Hughes. I mean, as you say, he's doing a pretty decent job with them.
Yeah, well, he's motivated to come back to City as well.
Well, exactly, yeah, coming back to the former club. going to do his best to get a result against them, and he did.
But it wasn't a great game, but
to take 3 points at Etihad,
that's fantastic.
No matter what way you do it, it doesn't matter. You're going home with 3 points, and not many other teams will do that, I don't think.
Well, I mean, that's the question I was going to ask is, do you think this is basically, do you think this is a big result for City in terms of, I mean, it's obviously early days, but with the title and that sort of thing?
Personally, blip on the radar.
Yeah, I think it's a one-off as well. I think it's just...
third game in, you're still getting back to, well, the players will be at full match fitness, but you're still starting to gel properly, get back into it. If it came at like match day 33, then you'd be a bit concerned. But third week, it's not terrible. It's bad, but it's not terrible.
And I mean, like you guys are saying, you think City will generally beat most teams at home this season?
Yeah, they'll win at least 17 home games this season, I think.
And also news recently that the company actually suffered a calf strain in training for Belgium, which is obviously good for Socceroos fans, but also could be interesting news for a Man City supporter.
Look, we play them next round, so...
Yeah, you'll be happy.
If Danny Welbeck can get on the park, might make his job a little easier.
Yeah, because who are there? Who's next in line for them in defence? They've got
Nastasic, I think.
Yeah, he's not bad.
So, I mean,
Nastasic isn't bad, but he's no company, I suppose.
Then again, who is? But any game without company is always a bonus for an opposition supporter when you're playing City.
Absolutely. So it will be interesting for them with that. I mean, we don't actually know the extent of the injury at this point, but I suppose we'll keep our ears out for that one. We might move on then. The next game's the goal fest that we got late in the night on Saturday night between Chelsea and Everton. I'm not sure if either of you guys caught the start of the match. I went down to flick on the start of the match thinking I'd get a sense of how it was going and see whether I was going to stay up for the match or not, and got 2 goals within 5 minutes.
It would have been a good match to watch live. I didn't see it, unfortunately, live, but what a beast Costa is.
Oh, was that 4 goals in his first 3 games now?
I think Chelsea, I believe, will win the league now. They've got, as someone said, removed the Torres handbrake. They're amazing.
They've definitely had the best window when you look at who they've bought in, who they've shipped out. They've consolidated on positions they were weak on all over the park. So it's hard to see, as World Cup said, them not winning the league.
I think the consensus seems to be on the board that they've pretty much hands down won this transfer window. And you guys, I assume, would agree with that?
Yeah.
Well, Hull did pretty well, I think.
Hopefully you mean that seriously, because I would agree with you.
No, I actually do, yeah.
They actually made money this transfer window at Chelsea.
Yeah, that's the unbelievable thing.
First time in, 10 years or something?
Yeah.
Because they actually ended up getting money from the Louise deal.
Oh, there's corruption involved in that deal, but that's another discussion.
That's daylight robbery. 50 million euros for David Luiz.
Yeah, no, that's just ridiculous.
That's daylight robbery.
Do we actually know how he's gone for PSG, Louise?
I have no idea.
No, I haven't been. I mean, PSG win every match easily there, generally.
It'll be interesting to see how he goes for them because, as you say, hints perhaps of corruption for that, but that's perhaps a story for another time. What do we make of Everton's start to the season and the question marks perhaps over their defence? They've conceded 10 goals already. Yeah,
they're looking at a bit suspect, and I think, they've got Barry permanently, but maybe he might be just struggling a little bit. But yeah, they're looking very suspect. They're not like the Everton of old, who were hard to break down.
Well, the question I posed to an Everton supporting friend is, apart from Eto'o and is it Besic, they haven't really added too much from last season. They've converted Barry and Lukaku. Signing. Oh, they had Lukaku last season. Apart from converting loans into permanents, they haven't really added a whole lot to their squad. Eto'o's decent depth, you can't deny that, but it's not as if he's a spring chicken anymore.
No, he's not gonna win them or get them Champions League. Eto'o by himself.
I don't think Everton have the depth for Champions League, to be honest. They don't have a big enough squad to maintain a steady push over the 38 games.
The top 4, yeah, and that Besic had a horrible day. Was it his debut?
Well, apparently, yeah.
Sure.
I think that was one of his first games, and I think gave away a goal with his first touch.
A backheel in defence.
That's perfect.
Hello.
Hello. Glad of you to join us, Cooksen. Good of you to join us.
Yes.
You missed our little discussion about United, which is probably all for the best.
No. I assume it was glowing with praise about how great Angel Di Maria is.
Yes, and how you're going to fit 5 attacking players into the same formation in a 3-5-2, of course.
We're changing.
3-5.
It's changing. It's changing.
I mean, to be honest, we were glowing in praise with the fact that you're actually able to pick up a point against a relegation rival. So it is good to see you picking up some points along the way.
But then we started to move on to bigger clubs that aren't in the bottom half of the table.
Which we might actually do as well now after just finishing off with Chelsea and Everton. We'll talk about Liverpool and Spurs now. So World Cup 2022, that's your mob with a pretty impressive win. You've done pretty well against Spurs the last 3 times you've played them.
Yeah, although the commentators did say that they're improving because they lost 5-0 a year ago, then it was 4-0 at Anfield. And it's now, yeah, so they've gotten better by 1 goal each game against us in the last 3 games.
20%. It's baby steps. Before you know it, let's say it was a game. So by about, 2016, they should be winning 1-0?
Eventually.
Yeah, Tottenham's problem, because I watched the whole game, that they had their midfield was just too slow and they got destroyed in the midfield.
It's interesting to see that they didn't really address their needs on deadline day either. I mean, obviously, we'll talk about deadline day in a bit, but they've let Sandro go, and they don't seem to have brought much in to improve.
He would have helped.
Yeah, he would have. Who do they have in the middle? Capoue, Bentaleb or Chad? No, Chadley's the winger. Yeah, Bentaleb.
Yeah.
But I personally wouldn't have sold Sandro myself. But what do I know?
What do you know?
And they didn't sell Townsend, which is a.
I know we won the FA Cup last season.
Townsend was he had one of the most shocking games I've seen for a while.
Townsend reminds me of Lennon: head down and run or shoot. And
Townsend seemed to have, he's basically still living off his early season form from last year.
Yeah, he needs to go on loan again for them.
It's Tottenham. Pretty much, it's what I call the Adebayor principle. Whenever there's a contract that needs re-signing, renegotiating, or they're in a bit of strife, they suddenly burst out. They look like a combination of Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, and have been going, yes, they'll be consistent. Ballon d'Or, here we come. Champions League. Then it's like, as soon as they sign that dotted line, it's like, hey, little guys, get stuffed. I'm going out.
I couldn't stop laughing at the way Moreno burnt off Townsend.
Oh yeah, for his goal, for the 3rd goal, yeah.
Were Liverpool quite convincing, or were Spurs just bad?
I think a bit of both.
It's Spurs. It's just they have this brilliant thing where they look $1 million against one team,
like QPR, yeah.
Yep. Or against a top 4 team where they somehow manage to pull this beautiful result out that no other team in the world can do. Then next week they're just like, yeah, we'll be shit.
Balotelli had a good debut, I thought.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you about Balotelli because he had that chance quite early on to have the dream debut with a decent header that went straight to Loris. But apart from that, how did he look?
Well, he was pressing and he was even defending at corners, as Brendan Rodgers said. So I don't know if he's always going to play like that, but if he keeps doing that, he'll put the chances away. He should have had a goal or 2 against Spurs, really.
The other player I wanted to ask about was Sterling, who I think pre-season was probably talked about as needing to step up and help fill the void left by Suarez. And maybe I was a little bit sceptical of that, given the fact that he's still quite young. But he started the season in some pretty impressive form. Yeah,
although you should have seen the miss that he had against Spurs after taking on about 6 of their defenders.
But I mean, in general, he's looked pretty good.
In general, he had an excellent game, yeah. Yeah, no, he's getting better all the time, and he could be a really, really top class player in maybe 2 or 3 years' time.
Yeah, I think it was Jod today saying that in 4 years' time, Sterling could be,
Oh, let's take Jod's words with a pinch of salt, I think.
Look, he's going to be inconsistent.
Probably the most biased poster on the forum admits it, but probably the most biased.
I would argue that I'd be up there in those stakes as well, you got to say. But
well, when you said to me before that Hull's defence is better than Man United's,
I stand by that.
That's not biased.
That's probably not biased. But you're from Sydney, and let's be honest, people from Sydney usually have their head up their arse all the time.
Still bitter about the win the other week, aren't you, Cooksen?
Not really.
No?
I was watching Mythbusters, so I didn't give a shit.
We'll enjoy September then anyway.
So will I. No worries. My hair will remain nice and ungrey. My fingernails will remain nice and long.
The last game I wanted to talk about was your mob Cruyff, who scraped a 1-1 draw with Leicester, and by all reports, Leicester actually could have come away with all 3 points from that one. Sonogo obviously starting up forward for you guys, and
more like no goal. More like no goal.
Yeah,
no goal.
He managed to get the assist for Sanchez, and he had a couple of shots. I think he actually ended up with more shots than all of Leicester combined. But how did you rate the performance from your
Didn't do much.
Yeah.
Where's he from? League 3 in France?
League 2. So, I think he came from Auxerre, I think.
Auxerre? Oh, okay. That's a good
I think. I could be wrong.
System.
I don't know why we left it so late to sign a striker. You're going to have me talking for ages now. But I don't understand why we left it so late to sign a striker, why we didn't sign a DM, why we let Vermaelen go, didn't sign another centre-back. Why we didn't go for Remy when he was only £8 million?
Well, Remy's got he's got an issue with his, well, I mean, it hasn't stopped Chelsea, but he's got it happened, it came up a few years ago as well when he signed from Marseille. He's got an overgrown heart muscle.
Yeah.
That's why he always goes for low Trent, but Chelsea obviously, it's manageable, but I mean, he failed the medical at Liverpool as well.
Well, yeah. if we are now going to talk about transfers, I will bring up. I mean, I shot you the article earlier, and I'll say allegedly that Wenger tried to have a few inquiries about some centre backs and whether they were available, and was knocked back on all 5 of them. I believe the number was.
But I don't understand why you'd leave it at. I don't know why you'd leave it to deadline day. I mean, we saw what happened when we lost 8-2 to United, and we signed Mertesacker. But again, that was an hour to go before the window shut or something. It's absolutely ridiculous, especially when he'd sold Vermaelen like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and he had all that time to replace it, yet on the weekend he was off reffing a bloody charity match in Rome.
And from all reports, Mertesacker was the one at fault for the Leicester goal, because he just wasn't tracking back and covering Uoa.
He's too slow as well. He's a more positional-based player. He's in a foot race with anyone. It's unlikely he's going to win unless he's racing against the tortoise.
So, I mean, you've got to have massive concern. I mean, what's your centre-back depth looking like at the moment?
We have Mertesacker, Koscielny, Isaac Hayden, who I'm sure you're all very familiar with.
Yep. Chambers can play centre-back, can't he?
Pardon?
Chambers can play centre-back?
But then who's our spare right-back?
Yeah.
We got Bellerin, but he's only, I think, 17 or 18. He played, Monreal was played at centre-back.
Monreal, right, yeah.
But again, not a centre back by any means. So really, we have 3 qualified centre backs, but one of which is normally a full back. So
if Koscielny goes down,
like who's 18.
If Koscielny goes down or gets a red or anything like that,
game over.
Yeah, you've got to be in trouble.
Right, it's just.
I just don't understand. I mean, Wenger's theory about, with strikers and with defenders, it seems, of just having so little cover and just relying on the players not getting injured or not getting suspended or whatever.
Which at Arsenal is always going to happen. I can't remember the last time we had a full squad for an extended period of time.
Preaching to the choir there. Staying with United.
Yeah, you guys just go and spend 50 million on a player though. We don't do that.
Well, you bought Sanchez and Ozil.
I wonder if Sanchez...
In 2 separate windows.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Ozil wanted to go to United, so...
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Real Madrid offered him to us. They're like, Real Madrid is like, there you go, buy him. And we're like, yeah, nah.
Oh, wow.
When was that though? Was that around the same time that Arsenal got him?
Yeah, beforehand. It's like massively... Pretty much because United and Real have this like special relationship or something like that. They're like, we just a very.
What about where was the discount for Di Maria then? They didn't give you much of a discount for Di Maria.
Well, face it, you're gonna have to pay big quality for Di Maria, and I would say he's worth every bloody pence, every pound.
I think Wenger always talks about he's only going to sign a quality player. I guess that's what he means when he says Di Maria. But
Di Maria certainly looked the quality against Burnley.
Did United win that game?
No, but we looked fantastic. And now we have Radamel Falcao.
How much are you paying for him on loan, might I add?
It's $6 million initial fee.
On loan?
Yeah, $6 million for a loan fee.
And how much in wages a week?
He'll get $10 million a year. Except he has a tax haven, so he'll be nice.
And that's on loan, yeah?
Yep, then we'll be signing him next year too.
What's the weekly? I'm actually asking. I'm not trolling like Cruyff. Is it something like 340,000 or?
Yeah, that's the highest thing. Except that report by the same paper, I think it was the Telegraph and Mark Ogden, came out like 2 hours later saying, yeah, it's not 350, it's like just basic 200,000.
Oh, okay, and there's add-ons and stuff.
Yeah.
So
He's pretty much, yeah, he's only 200 a week. It's pretty much 18 million to 16 million all up. So less than Danny Welbeck and 4 million more than getting Shane Long.
Yeah. I've got no complaints about the amount that we got for Shane Long. I was very, very happy with that.
That's a strange transfer, that, as well. Like,
In regards to Welbeck, Cooksen, are you disappointed he's gone, or?
Sorry, what's that?
Oh,
yes. I'll put it this way. It's like, he was at the club since he was 8 years old. I saw some stats. When he played as a centre forward and a striker, he got like about 7 goals in 10 games as a starter, as a forward.
Yeah.
And as a winger, where he usually played, it's like 1 goal in 1 goal in 18 or something like that. So if he gets played as a forward, he will most likely score goals and he will be decent for Arsenal. He will pay back his £16 million.
So it sounds a lot like, it sounds very similar to the Sturridge deal going to Liverpool in terms of the fact that...
I hope he turns out as good as Sturridge. That'd be nice.
It's in a very similar way. I mean, Sturridge was getting played out wide by Chelsea and he wanted to play up forward. And when Liverpool played him up forward, he, stuck the goals away.
Flourished, yeah.
Yep. It's essentially the same situation, but again, Woodward really delivered in this window. It's like, everyone's like, oh, Woodward from last year, how he signed, 365 days ago we signed Marouane Fellaini for £27 million.
Is Fellaini still at United?
I forgot he was even there. I forgot all about him, to be honest.
Yeah, I've lost complete track of him.
He's pretty much been, like, he had the dream move to United that everyone loved, except he's been perpetually injured.
It was a nightmare.
I'll put it this way. As soon as he leaves, he'll probably become fit and he'll bang goals in left, right and centre. But at United, he's just injured and shit. It's like before United.
He's not bad for depth though, when you look at it. If you have him coming off the bench to, 60th, 70th minutes sort of thing to replace one of your centre mids, that's not so bad, I guess.
He can also play up front, or just behind the strikers.
Yeah, like a target man sort of thing.
I actually think that's his best position.
Like versus Olympiacos, where we had possibly the most comedic performance ever seen by a player. That heat map.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much really impressed by the window. I mean, last day signing was just, as you said, we've all seen the Kermit gif of Kermit having happy hour. And the Kermit going crazy gif, which I posted. And those two just like, they sum up the day for United fans perfectly. It's just like, oh my god. It's like.
Where was your centre back though? You don't need centre backs?
He's still getting a work permit. Let's just deal with that later on.
Yeah.
But
so Rojo's not even in the country yet, is he?
Well, he's got an international, so no.
Okay.
And a couple of DMs, midfielders?
Daily Blind. That's all we need, really. Daily Blind and Michael Carrick, that's enough. It's plenty. Then we get Strootman. Get our Stroot on.
How much more money do you think the owner's going to let him spend, though, Van Gaal?
Well, it's not Van Gaal spending the money. It's Woody.
So you're saying he's decided Van Gaal hasn't been behind these transfers?
Yeah, pretty much they consulted. Pretty much Van Gaal, because Van Persie had a dodgy knee.
Which apparently he's now fine with. He doesn't need surgery for.
Yeah, I'm just reading an article. He said, no, I'm fine.
I'm calling bullshit on that.
I will fight Radamel Falcao for Manchester United position.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, but I expect that he'll probably have some surgery or a bit of a layout, and that's where Falcao will come in and just be fantastic, but yeah.
I'm looking at a photo of him here. He's got grey hair almost.
Can Di Maria play centre back?
I think I saw that comment when the bid for Falcao was accepted. They asked how Falcao would go at centre back. One transfer I did want to bring up that has seemed to get no attention whatsoever was Chalobah going to Burnley on a season-long loan. I actually think that's a really good get for Burnley from Chelsea, because I really rate the kid. I think he was at Watford last year. And I reckon Burnley's actually started to get a bit of a squad together that could actually help them stay up. Not going too quickly for them, but I do think that they're actually starting to look pretty decent. I mean, obviously they got a point against United, which may or may not be that impressive depending on who you ask, but...
United are a fellow relegation battle.
Well, exactly.
Exactly. They got Michael Keane as well, Burnley, so...
Yep, good solid that.
Yeah, well, exactly. And they got George Boyd from us for, I don't know why they paid $3 million for him, but I'm not complaining. We seem to get pretty decent fees for our players this window, which is pretty good. But no, they've got some decent players together now.
We saw Tom Cleverley and Bebe beat that everyone.
I don't understand. That's one thing I wanted to address was the Tom Cleverley loan to Aston Villa, which went through the following day because, quote, the Premier League thought that his agents hadn't properly advised him on the deal to Everton. So they granted him extra time to get his loan for Villa.
Pretty much what happens is there's this like sheet you hand into the Premier League, which states the deal before it actually gets announced.
Yep.
So pretty much the loan deal was agreed for on deadline day, except all that stuff was thing, except the personal stuff that's not done, which still needs to be ticked off. So yeah, it's really confusing, but it's like, I don't know, I've read an article, it's just saying you hand in a note, it's all fine.
Well, I know for us, and I think it was the same for Arsenal, that we both requested extensions to get our deals with Welbeck and Ben Arfa over the line. I think we got a 2-hour extension each, because I think, as you're saying, there was paperwork that we faxed through to the Premier League basically saying, yeah, both parties are willing, but we just have to work out a few things. And I think for us it was because Ben Arthur was stuck in traffic or something like that. And Welbeck, I think, presumably
to the donut shop, did he?
Yeah. Well, I thought that was, our owners were handing out free pizzas to all the supporters, so I thought they would have actually got in there quicker.
Ooh, Tim would have liked that.
Well, exactly. I thought he would have been down there in a flash. I presume
Tim can never move in a flash.
Yeah. I presume the Welbeck deal was probably waiting on the Falcao deal to go through?
No, it happened beforehand, but essentially one led to the other. So,
because I'm not sure otherwise why the Welbeck deal was held up for so long.
Well, there was a problem with Falcao initially getting the medical, I heard, but then it was alright.
Yeah, that's just bullshit. It's like only one journalist came out of that. It's like, come on, man.
Well, there was some talk of the, issues with the medical or whatever, but I mean, that's inevitably going to be brought up if it's being drawn out. But do you know what the issue was, Cooksen?
No, not that I've heard of. Not that I've read on Twitter or anything like that. Nobody seems to be anything, which means I think there's really nothing, because there's only one journal that came up with it. Everyone else is like, yeah, he's fine.
It just seems to take a strangely long amount of time, because, I mean, the bid was accepted before, last night, Monday night sort of thing, and then Tuesday morning it was still ongoing.
Yeah. To be honest, we've actually, like, if you look at the United transfers, there's been the sign, well, apart from I know Ander Herrera announced his on Twitter before the club, and so did Luke Shaw, but pretty much for Di Maria, Blind, Falcao, and I think Rojo, they were signed by the club. Everyone else announced it. It was all official, but the club didn't announce it for like a couple hours to a couple days later.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seemed very odd, but, what can you do, really? But I will say this, though. If you said to me, like, last Monday, that you would have Radamel Falcao and Angel Di Maria signed in one window, I'll be like, yep, that's a good one. Good one. What's next? Secure winning the flag?
Falcao was the really strange one, because obviously Di Maria had been linked for quite a while to you guys, but Falcao just seemed to come straight out of the blue.
Well, it was known that Falcao was available to anyone because the Monaco owners got financial problems.
£3 billion
divorce settlement, yeah.
Yeah. Have a silence for that. Done.
He should just get back with his wife. He's going to have that much of a divorce settlement.
Not working in the
Yeah, just stay with her.
There we go.
But, they've offloaded James and him now. Falcao,
Yeah. It's just, I think the the Monaco thing is over. I mean.
Apparently Monaco came in for, Bonnie though.
Yeah. All I know is that for us, we got Falcao's because, Fergie, Jorge Mendes?
Yeah.
Fergie had a good relationship with him, as I'll quote in his book, which I've read back to front, good read. He's the best agent he's ever worked with, and apparently Woodward is a really close friend. I'm talking about, they share family photos and all that thing, so we have Mendes. So there you go. That's what Arsenal's not doing. He's like, yeah, who are you? It's like acting all French and stuff.
Acting French.
Another club that actually had a pretty decent window, who hasn't been mentioned a lot, is Crystal Palace, who brought in a few guys on deadline day. They brought in James McArthur from Wigan for club record $7 million. They brought in Ezekiel Friars from Spurs for $3 million. They were pretty busy. They had Kevin Doyle from Wolves on a season-long loan. Do we see Palace? I mean, I think we all kind of knee-jerked a bit when they sacked, Pulis left, and they've got Neil Warnock in. Do we see them, looking like they've kind of strengthened enough to stay up? Zaha looking pretty good for them back on loan?
I don't rate Neil Warnock at all.
Yeah.
Even with the 3-3 draw against Newcastle, that we don't think they look promising?
Were they 2 down in that, or 1 down?
I think they were 2 down. I'm not sure, actually.
I mean, to fight back from 2 goals, I think they came back in the death too, but if you're 2 down, and I mean,
they did come back 3-0 against Liverpool last season.
But again, that was with Pulis in charge.
Yeah, they.
So, and that was with Liverpool choking as well.
But yeah, I agree with you entirely, Cruyff. I mean,
I think the owner should have let Pulis spend what he wanted to spend, and it would have been in a much better position.
Well, it's strange because I was under the impression that Pulis quit because he wanted Zaha back, and that wasn't going to happen. And then, a week or so later, Zaha signs.
I think he wanted Zaha permanently.
Okay.
But don't quote me on that. That's my
I just think
opinion on it.
strange because I wouldn't have thought he would have quit over a difference between it being a loan or a permanent, because you're still essentially getting the player at least for that year, and you can deal with it later on.
Yeah, I reckon
it's a strange one.
Yeah. There's other stuff there that we probably don't know about.
Biting my tongue so I don't appear to be biased, I'll ask you guys, who do you think won deadline day?
Chelsea.
Deadline day.
Oh, deadlocks.
Hull. I think Hull and Chelsea are pretty up there.
Probably Hull.
Disregarding bias, we're gonna have to say Hull and just watch SM go nuts. He's running around.
I'll just sit here in smug silence, won't I? No, it was a very good day for my club. I think all the supporters have been pretty stunned with what's actually happened. I mean, I knew the Diame and Hernandez deals were going to go through, but Ramirez and Ben Arfa just completely came out of the blue.
Was it a good day for your club when you lost the FA Cup?
It wasn't a good day. No, it wasn't. But, we'll be back there before. I can't wait till we play you guys. I really can't wait till we play you guys.
Hull might push for Europa League this season.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. I was saying to...
Are they in the Europa League this season?
We're not anymore. No, thank you.
No, that rule doesn't apply anymore.
No, it doesn't. But, no, I mean, that was the point. I made it to Cruyff a little earlier, was that it'll be quite interesting. Our supporters are really disappointed that we got knocked out of the playoffs for the Europa League, and basically saying that it could have been our one and only chance. But the way the squad's starting to shape up, we are genuinely a team that could be pushing for that sort of top 10 spot. And
I think you'll make top 10. You've got, with the additions of Ben Arfa, Hernandez,
Ramirez,
and Diame, that's and you've already got Huddleston, Livermore, Jelavic, whoever else there is, Davies and Chester and all that. You've assembled a decent squad, and you'd think you'd be finishing. Realistically, you should be finishing in the top half of the table.
That's the only concern I have, is that that's now the expectation, and I think it's a fair enough expectation.
What's the lowest acceptable spot in your opinion?
For me, now the lowest acceptable will probably be about 13, 14, not much lower.
A good cup run, though.
Would that be disappointing if you finished 14th?
It depends on the context. I mean, if we go, as World Cup was just saying, I mean, if we go on a cup run as well, and, make the quarters or semis again of either of the cups, and we finish, say, 14th, I would still be quite happy with that, because, I mean, just given the fact that the way that we're progressing so quickly that you kind of don't want to run before you walk, and I'm just a little concerned that a lot of the supporters will now have such high expectations that if we don't meet them, pressure will come onto Bruce, unfairly in my opinion, because he's just been absolutely brilliant.
He's the best manager in the league, though.
Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is. I'm not surprised by the results he's getting. But
Ferguson train. What do you expect?
Yeah. Well, he is the best manager we've ever had, and I just think he fits so well with the club that if we walk before we run, if we go a bit slower, even if this season we do only finish 14th or 13th, I don't see that as a disappointment.
Yeah, I guess, as you said, depends on the cup run.
Yeah.
If you have a deep cup run, it's not so bad. But if you got knocked out, say, whatever the second round of the FA Cup is for you, and say you made the fourth round of the Carling, or the League Cup.
The Captain one.
The cock, yeah. I guess that would be disappointing though, wouldn't it?
I think it's also the manner of how we play. I think if we start scoring a lot more goals and looking a lot more entertaining, if we get a few results against, your Arsenals, your Chelseas, or whoever's, then I think the supporters can at least see that there's, that basis for launching for bigger and better things next year.
Who won the last game Arsenal and Hull played?
Yeah. Who was the second team to beat you at the Emirates ever?
That's kind of a relevant stat, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, we're the first non-London club to beat you at the Emirates.
A relevant stat over a trophy. I'll
take that Giovanni strike any day of the week.
Hawthorn won a grand final that day, so it's alright.
Talking about game plan, talking about happiness. What are you, Barcelona?
Yeah.
Expecting Messi next year? Maybe Nesta.
Well, that's, the club posted something asking if the supporters were happy about our deadline day signings, and I tweeted back saying I was disappointed we hadn't signed Messi, but I assume he's coming next year.
We're getting Ronaldo.
He's getting Ronaldo, yeah. Anyway, enough flattery for me, I think. We might move on to the previews for next week. We've got a bit of a crack at...
break.
Oh, sorry, the week after, I should say, because we've got the international break coming up. But we've got a cracker of a game first up when we return from the international break between Arsenal and Man City. And how do we see this one going?
Man City, 4-0. Just Arsenal, just...
4-0, it's at the Emirates.
I think it'll be a draw.
No way we'd get done 4-0 at the Emirates. Not a chance in hell.
Even after what you've just been saying about your defence?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
If they're fit though, there's no way we'll cop 4 goals at home.
That's the thing, internationals and having bad centre-backs. This happened to United.
Actually, you've got a point at the international break generally screws us 9 times out of 10.
It usually happens. It's just perfect irony, perfect storm, so yeah.
Well, we were just talking before you got on, Cooksen, about the potential injury to Company, which has been reported in the last few hours, which puts him in doubt against Australia. I'm not sure if the extent of the injury will put him out for the Arsenal game, but it could be interesting if both sides cop a couple of injuries.
No defence. Defence is the past, man. Goals are the way to go. It'll be 5-5.
I'd be happy with a draw, but I don't think we'll win.
Draw?
I reckon it'll be 1-1. I'm saying 1-1.
I'd take a draw, but I doubt we'll win.
Get on the Sonogo train, boys. 3-0.
Aren't you funny?
This table clash though, Chelsea versus Swansea, it's top 2.
I was about to say, we'll move on. Chelsea versus Swansea is a very unexpected top 2 clash.
You wonder how Gilfield will go.
He started incredibly. Was it 3 assists out of their 4 goals scored? Or something like that?
He's on fire of late, so who knows what might happen.
It's at the Bridge, so it'll be interesting.
I think Chelsea will nullify the threat, especially at home, and they'll be too strong. I think, again, Costa's going to have a field day.
Yeah, I probably will, but I reckon this is out of those games at midnight, I think this is the pick of the lot. It's very watchable. If
Chelsea won 4-0, it wouldn't surprise me.
But at the same time, I could easily see something like a 4-2 or a 4-3 or something like that. I could see a very high scoring game because Swansea play that sort of brand of football that they can get the goals not easily, but they play quite a free flowing style of football.
Chelsea will just destroy them, I reckon. It's going to be a high scoring game, but I reckon Chelsea probably wins 6-2. I mean, Fabregas and Costa.
They're playing tennis.
Yeah, Fabregas.
They got 6-2, 6-3. Yeah.
Fabregas and Costa just started the form superbly.
And don't forget, Swansea's had 3 pretty easy games to start with, so...
Hey, I just want to point this out. Our best result against Swansea in the Premier League era came under David Moyes.
It did? It did.
Yes.
The other interesting element, obviously, is that it's Gary Monk, who isn't the most experienced of managers, and we saw what happened when perhaps a less experienced manager and Brendan Rodgers played against Mourinho last season, where Mourinho outsmarted him, and we could see a similar sort of scenario where Swansea basically go out on the attack and Chelsea managed to still pick them off 2 or 3-0.
I think if Swansea went and attacked Chelsea at the Bridge, it would be very foolish.
So you think they'll sit back?
Yes. That's what I would do. I think any manager with half a brain would do that. I think to go and attack Chelsea at Chelsea is an absolutely ridiculous thing to do.
They went to Old Trafford and did pretty well with it.
Yeah, but United aren't a good team, so it's a bit different when we talk about them and we talk about Chelsea.
They're still more desirable than Arsenal.
Chelsea's firepower, though, like you've got Hazard, you've got Fabregas, you've got Costa. They can just absolutely blow them away if they want to.
They got Remy on the bench as well.
Exactly. And Schürrle, Willian, the list goes on.
They got half a country out on loan too.
26 players, yeah, it's incredible. Alright, we'll go to the next game then, and it's Crystal Palace against Burnley. I can't imagine too many tuning into this, apart from our comrades in Masked Magician and Millang Panther, but do we have any sort of sense of how this game will go?
If Burnley win that, will they go above United in the relegation zone, or?
Let's just have a look at that. I reckon they might. If United lose to QPR...
Not going to happen.
Burnley's going to leapfrog them.
We can outscore anyone.
How many goals have you scored this season?
That's pre-Falcao,
How many did you score against MK Dons?
That was our second 11, Danny Welbeck, Danny Welbeck couldn't score against FK Dons.
Neither could Kagawa, or Hernandez, who's now at Real Madrid.
Yeah, let that sink in.
Well, we've got Chelsea, Swansea as the top two playing each other. We've got Palace, Burnley as the bottom two playing each other.
I think that might be an interesting game, really.
Could be an
Palace
interesting
and
one.
Burnley.
6-point game.
Burnley might have a bit of confidence after getting a point against Manchester United, and Palace at home obviously gives them a bit of an advantage.
And look, I do think Burnley have looked pretty good to start the season. I mean, they've only got 1 point to show for it, but they haven't looked too bad.
But they've played Chelsea and Man United. It's
exactly.
1 point. 1 point from those games isn't really. And who was the other team they played?
I can't remember.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But to have 1 point against those two teams and another team really isn't that bad.
They lost to Swansea,
who are flying. So it's not too bad, really. So we might see a few goals there.
I reckon Palace will probably win. It's going to be a scrappy 1-0 game.
I reckon Burnley will win that one. I could see a 2-1.
Yep.
Next game is Southampton against Newcastle. Probably
Liverpool reserves to lose against Newcastle.
I mean, Newcastle haven't looked that great to start the season, to be honest.
I'd put money on Southampton.
Southampton started to look okay. I mean, they came back and beat West Ham last week.
They've signed Alderweireld. That's a good sign.
That's a very good signing for them.
But Southampton were alright for a period against Liverpool, I think.
Yeah, they're looking alright, Southampton.
I reckon Southampton might nick a win. Pardew's just, he's all over the shop.
He'll be sacked.
Yeah.
That's big call. Sacked. I'm going to put a date. Let's call it January 20th.
That's late.
I think most Toon fans want him to be gone, especially with Ben Arthur going.
Pre-Christmas.
That was one of
Pre-Christmas, I reckon.
That was just about the last straw for them.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking pre-podcast about there being some issues surrounding Pardew and that he's basically stuck there because of various issues that he has with the owner. That the owner's not going to sack him, but at the same time, I mean, he's not doing a great job. It was about 5 years left on his 7-year deal. So it's ticking by slowly.
I mean, honestly, silly deal. I mean, they could have been taken over by Vince McMahon. I mean, that would have been totally worth it.
Yeah. I think I'd back a Southampton win in that one as well. Next, Leicester finally get an easier opponent. They get to play Stoke after the start they had.
They beat Man City. They're the real City now, Stoke.
Well, there you go.
Wait, did Stoke really beat Man City?
Yeah, last week.
Yes.
Oh my god, what went into this season?
Gee, I didn't watch any games and I thought I was out of the loop.
Yeah,
I was drunk. It was a break.
He scored as well. Mama, whatever his name.
Scored, yeah.
Was there anyone that used to be at Man United, or was it a different deal?
Shawcross?
The Diouf.
No, there used to be a deal for Man United.
No, I can't remember. Do we see Leicester winning this one perhaps? I mean, they've looked pretty impressive to start the season. I'm sure Jats will be happy.
I think a draw, score draw.
Stoke are hard to beat at home.
Yeah, I mean, Stoke look pretty good.
I'll go 1-1.
1-1?
Yeah, Stoke.
Yeah, I might. It's a hard one. I might say Stoke 2-1.
I'm going to say a boring little draw.
They got deal.
Yeah.
You're telling me the new Barcelona will not win?
We'll see.
Sunderland
Tottenham will be another interesting one. To see if Spurs can bounce back from their loss to Liverpool. It's a lot of games at midnight this week, actually.
Yeah.
About bloody time.
Yeah.
How do we see this one panning out? I mean, it's at home for Sunderland, but Sunderland have been a hard one to read this season so far.
Spurs to bounce back.
Spurs to bounce back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
they'll take the 3 points, I think.
It's going either two ways. The first way is that Tottenham come out and blitz Sunderland 4-0. The other way is Tottenham don't come out, beat crap, and Sunderland win 1-1. Or 1-0, sorry.
An interesting way to win. Yeah, I think Spurs will probably win this one, in my mind. The last of the midnight games we have is Everton against West Brom. We see Everton finally getting a win on the board.
Yeah.
No, because they'll give away another lead.
The defence, yeah. They've got problems there, major.
And there are question marks in their defence. Baines hasn't looked the same since the World Cup.
Something's wrong with him, yeah.
Looking at the table though, West Brom are 18th and they've got 2 points from 3 games. Although, so do Everton. But you'd think Everton might have the quality to get past West Brom. But the way they're leaking goals, you just don't know what's going to go on.
You'd certainly hope that they'll be able to get over West Brom. I think last year, from memory, they started with a couple of draws, and one of them was against a really struggling West Brom, and that was when there were just a few murmurs of discontent about Martinez, and I think they went on a roll after that, and it was all forgotten. So it will be interesting to see if history repeats itself there. I would back Everton to win that one, though. Probably, in a scoring win, maybe like a 3-1 or something.
They need Stones back, so then they can have a rock at the back.
They need to put Stones in the middle.
Oh, Cooksen, you're killing me.
They've got to get rid of Distan. He's cooked.
He's got it, he's just about
he's
done.
36 though, so it's to be expected, I guess.
He's been there for too long now.
You'd hope that they would have been, preparing for this, though.
You never know. I mean, you would have thought that United would have planned for Fergie leaving better than the signing Moyes, but evidently no.
Evidently no. The late game on Saturday night is Liverpool against Villa.
Liverpool should honestly put 4 past them.
Villa have looked good to start the season, I must say.
The Villa Newcastle game was absolutely turgid to watch. It was painful viewing.
Yeah, we always struggle against Villa at home. Some reason.
bogey side. Oh.
Yeah, so should win, but might not.
So
you think Liverpool's pace though will be too much for them to handle? If you've got Sterling, Sturridge, Coutinho, Balotelli, you'd think that's going to be too much for them to handle.
They're a good counter-attacking side though, Villa. That's why they cause us trouble, I think. They're really good on the counter.
I mean, for Villa to stand a chance, it really depends. Like, pretty much Ron Vlaar has to turn into Franz Beckenbauer. That's putting it very lightly, and look forward to seeing Tom Cleverley take on Stevie G.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. See how Cleverley line up for Villa.
The English Xavi.
I did enjoy that the picture that they used to announce Cleverley signing on loan was actually him scoring a goal against Villa.
Dodgy Photoshop there.
Yeah, well, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes for Villa. I mean, it is interesting because he's obviously a very maligned player, but he might just be the sort that in a lower mid-tier sort of team might actually stand up and actually look pretty decent.
Yeah, apparently Valencia wanted him too. That he should have went to Valencia. I mean, he's good. I mean, he does all the passing. He can do everything, but he lacks balls.
Yeah.
The final balls.
Sorry.
We'll see how he goes. We've got only one game on the Sunday night, which is the blockbuster relegation 6-pointer battle between QPR and Man United. It'll be interesting. I mean, we were talking about it earlier in terms of Rio lining up against United and maybe trying to help them out in any way he can. But
if he plays, he's helping them out. If he plays, surely Harry shouldn't play him. He's serious.
He's a bit slow. Let's put it as well that way.
Just a little bit slow.
Shocking. It was shocking against Tottenham on that. I think the last goal where they cut it across the face of goal from the left. I think he went to intercept and he was completely mistimed. It was absolutely horrid.
His retirement paid for him. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's finished. I don't know how he was still playing at United last season.
He shouldn't be in the English Premier League anymore. If he's going to play on, he should have gone to the MLS or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
No idea how. Yeah, I don't know why QPR gave him a contract, to be honest.
I guess we don't need to look at the last game. No,
we don't need to look at the last game? No. Well, we might.
Don't need to talk about United. Don't need to talk about United.
Talk about United.
Get too far ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I think United should win.
Yeah.
We've been saying that
for a few weeks now, haven't we?
Hey,
one. I reckon United will win 4-2.
4-2?
Here's the thing.
You see QPR scoring 2 goals?
No, I see United conceding 2 goals.
Here's the thing, though. We'll get Rafael back, which means we have a right back instead of Valencia.
Well, for about 10 minutes then he'll get injured again. Or a red card.
Still better than Valencia. And still better right back than anything Arsenal have. We'll have Rojo and Jones, Jones has come on.
Do you reckon Rojo will play?
Yes. He'll play.
That's all ticked off and everything?
Well, hopefully. But Jones has come out. I mean, Jones has looked really impressive. I mean, Johnny Evans should be the one leading the United defense. Instead, we have Phil Jones, who's defending for himself, and Johnny Evans.
I've never rated Phil Jones. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but whenever I've seen him play, nothing has been exceptional about him or stood out.
He's a good utility player. He can play, defensive midfield.
I was about to say.
Jack of all trades, master of none sort of thing.
He seems to look better in midfield, to be honest, than at centre-back.
He's not bad on the ball, is he?
Yeah, I reckon he's not that great on the ball, but under Louis van Gaal, he's gotten rid of rushing in and doing stupid tackles. He's now using positioning a lot better. He's using his pace, his body. He's becoming smarter. He's still having ridiculously stupid faces whenever he shoots. I never want that to change from him. But yeah, also looking forward to having Luke Shaw hopefully playing. God knows what's wrong with him.
It'll be interesting to see how you line up, to be honest.
Well, wasn't it? I was saying with Luke Shaw, wasn't he told to train more in the preseason? They reckon he was too fat. Is that the rumour I heard? Is that true?
Well, Louis Van Gaal said he wants him to, I think he wants him to cut down, but wants him to change. Again, he had him on a different training. It just involved more running. Then came out and Louis Van Gaal said, "Shut up, you're wrong." So I
wouldn't want to mess with Van Gaal.
Yeah.
Surely at 18 years old, you're signing for United. You want to give it you wouldn't.
Exactly.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah, you'd think so, but then he's 18. He thinks he's bigger than the world. So
yeah. I reckon he's
on the contract he's on as well. Yeah.
He's very stocky. I'll put it that way. He's just naturally one of those players who's a bit big, but he's not on that much money. He's not on more than Philip Lahm or anything like that.
He's 18 years old though, comparatively speaking.
He's on like 60 grand a week. That's nothing. That's chump change at United.
Chump change at United, yeah.
Herrera will be back too, and Daily Blind, Angel Di Maria. Now there's a midfield. Beautiful.
Don't get too excited, Cooksen.
Mate.
The hand's already going.
Have you seen the past 24 hours? Let's see, we have the celebrity nude signing Falcao. I was like, my hands are like down to the bone, mate. But yeah, hopefully Falcao will score. I mean, I'm still undecided. Which number should I get on my back? Should I get Di Maria? Should I get Falcao? The agonizing choice.
What about Anderson?
Yeah. I'll just get a Ronald McDonald instead.
Yeah. Well, speaking of choosing between numbers, it's hard for me to choose which number I get, and we'll talk about Hull now, and looking forward to seeing the signings lining up on the pitch, because a lot like United, I mean, it's very hard to know what our best 11's actually going to look like. It's not as disjointed as United in terms of attacking options versus defensive options, but the team is absolutely stacked now. So it'll be interesting to see how we go against West Ham at home. And I could honestly see this being about a 2 or 3-0 win for us.
If you
Maybe
don't
even a bit more.
You should be quite angry.
Oh, I would be, yeah. I mean, I'm still pissed off that we didn't beat Stoke. I think we deserved to beat Stoke if we hadn't had the red card, given the way that we were playing. So that game...
Still conspiracy. Pissed off about the FA Cup?
Pardon?
Are you still pissed off about it?
No, I've let it go. It's all in the past. I've moved on to this season now.
You just know, I'll point this out, there will be a break. If there's a City Hall grand final, there'll be a massive shit fight. What's with the echoing?
That's your end.
So it's echoing for someone, but I think it's stopped now. So if there's a Sydney who final?
Sydney Hawthorn grand final. Get ready for this podcast to go into overdrive.
Oh, between me and Cruyff, absolutely.
Oh.
Well, we need a leveler after. We've got 2012 my way. We've had the FA Cup his way. We need a leveler now, a decider now.
Oh, yes. We've got to get past Geelong first.
Yeah, so that will be interesting.
But Hull should win real. I don't rate West Ham particularly much, so I think Hull will be taking home the 3 points.
If we don't win this game, I'll be very disappointed.
Well, West Ham haven't improved, and they've still got Fat Sam there. I don't know what they're doing over at West Ham. It's just they've sold the army to you guys. So.
Yeah,
they're not doing anything. That's the problem.
It's just a joke. I mean, they're gonna be worse. They might be in the relegation battle this year.
Oh, they still have Andy Carroll. He'll be okay.
And he's torn his ankle ligaments.
Has he?
They don't have Andy Carroll. They're screwed.
No, he tore his ankle ligaments in a pre-season game.
Oh, in pre-season, okay, yeah, but nothing's happened since then, yeah. Do you know, when's he due back? Must be New Year sort of thing, or?
I'll have a quick look.
Because that's the thing, I mean, he just seems perpetually injured for them.
West Ham squad, who'd they bring in? Zarate
and Valencia.
Oh, yeah, he's a decent signing. Oh, he might just be a flavour of the month sort of signing as well, but...
Yeah. I don't even know if he's played much for them. I know Zarate's looked okay. I think he scored a goal on the opening day win, I think. He scored early in the season for them, one of their first games. But no, it should be an interesting one. I think I would think we'll win.
They did get Alex Song on loan. And that's
Alex, actually, that is good.
That's not a bad signing for them, yeah.
That's
from Barcelona to West Barcelona.
From Arsenal to Barcelona to West Ham.
That's a strange one.
How the mighty have fallen.
Indeed. But on that note, was there anything we wanted to mention briefly before we wrap up for the night?
The state of Cooksen's hand.
The state of Cooksen's hand. I think I feel sorry for it. It's just taken such a beating the last few days.
Great pun. Great pun. He's got sticky fingers, I think.
Just wait a sec. I will make a Champions League prediction right here.
Sure.
I've done a bit of thinking about Arsenal and how they've been, but this is how it usually goes. They will finish second in their group.
Arsenal?
Yep. That's normal. That happens. Here's how it goes. They finish fourth. They go through qualifiers. They finish second. Then, always, inevitably, they will go out either on away goals or lose by 1 goal against a better team such as Madrid, Bayern, or Barca. Now.
We've got no chance of winning the Champions League anyway. If we make the quarters, I'd be happy.
No, I'm just saying that usually happens to Arsenal. They always seem to face either Bayern, Dortmund, or Barca in the group stages of round of 16.
What's the prediction for United in the Champions League?
Better than Liverpool facing Madrid. Enjoy Gareth Bale and Ronaldo against that defence. Oh.
Imagine Ronaldo against Glenn Johnson.
He won't play.
Oh, God.
It'd be the same result if he does play, I think. It's like having no man on the pitch anyway.
I don't think they can show that on TV.
He's got injured, which is good.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, you could probably do a better job on your couch.
There was footage of Liverpool fans celebrating when Roger said Johnson's out injured. They actually jumped up out of their couch and started hugging and screaming at each other in the celebration. I found that quite amusing.
Yeah, we tried to get rid of him to QPR, but it didn't happen. Ever since he got injured last year, he just hasn't been the same.
He was a good player a few years back, but yeah, as you said, he's declined of late.
He had a bad injury in November last year, I think it was, and he was out for until about February, I think. And then
he scored a cracker against Chelsea, I think, 2 seasons ago.
Oh, that season was brilliant. Yeah, up until about a year ago, he was a fantastic. Back, and then he's just injuries killed him.
Rubbish.
Yeah, he's not the same player, so I don't think he won't play much again now. I think it'll be either Flanagan or Manquillo playing for us. That right back.
He'll be playing in the reserves.
Well,
then again, they'll probably be a level too high for him.
Be off to Southampton before he knows it.
Yep.
But hopefully in January for $1 million, because he's out of contract at the end of the season, so I'd like to get a little bit of money for him.
$1 million. Whew. I don't think Woody can sell that. I mean, Woody managed to sell Bebe, but that's like a step too far, man.
Man, I can have him.
No, I'd much rather shoot myself. I'd much rather have, actually...
Herpes?
Yeah.
All right.
Another picture. I'm that confident. Next year, we will bid for Messi and Ronaldo. We'll just splash some money. We'll sign a player, medical. Sign another player, medical.
Oh, you're getting
left
there.
Mate, the Galacticos will go all the way.
Oh, jeez. Okay, well, on that optimistic note, I think we might sign off for the night. Thanks, boys, for coming on to talk about all the transfers that we've had to cover and the games from the weekend.
Yep, one more thing. Come on, Aussie. Let's beat the Belgians and the Saudi Arabians.
Absolutely. It'll be an interesting weekend. It'll be good to have a break from Premier League football. And we'll be back in 2 weeks after the next round of Premier League fixtures. So until then, thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the boards.